Weakness simply means your capacity is lower than what the moment requires. Welcome to the Connect Method Parenting Podcast, where correction is out, connection is in, and your kids want to listen to you. I'm Andy Martineau, creator of Connect Method Parenting, here to help you stay calm, confident, and connected no matter what. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. This episode is coming out the week of Christmas. I'm recording it ahead of time because we leave on our Christmas cruise on the 18th. So right now I'm still here wrapping things up mentally and emotionally, knowing we're about to step into something really, really, really special with my family. And before I left, I wanted to get a podcast episode all ready for you. And I wanted to talk about weakness, which I think is really appropriate when it comes to the holidays and maybe we're comparing ourselves to other people. So we feel a little bit of envy or regret or sadness, signs of weakness, or maybe we are overwhelmed by all of the things happening, overstimulated by our kids, by them being with us 24/7, wanting to make the holidays so special, but we feel like we're losing it. So we feel a little bit of weakness. This is a topic that tends to bring up discomfort. So I want to name that right away. Most of us were taught to associate weakness with failure, with doing something wrong, with something being wrong with us. But when I look at what's actually happening in our lives in parenting, weakness usually isn't the real issue. What I see instead is that weakness shows up when demand exceeds capacity, when the moment requires more emotional regulation, patience, clarity, or presence than your nervous system has access to in that moment. And what creates the most danger isn't the weakness itself, it's the meaning that we attach to it. When weakness gets filtered through, let's say, shame, a lot of us hide. We might yell, we might punish, we might shut down, we might spiral. But it's not because of the weakness. That's not what's causing the problems. It's because of the shame when we feel we have responded in a way that isn't consistent to who we want to be or who we were even able to be the day before. So today I want to help you think about weakness in a more useful way. I want you to notice how you respond when it shows up and what happens when you stop treating it like personal failure. When weakness is handled with honesty and compassion, it often opens the door to deeper connection, deeper trust, deeper capacity with yourself and with your kids and with your life. So I'm recording this episode in between birthday events today. My third child, Cooper, turned 22, which still feels totally unreal to say out loud because I think I'm 22. I feel maybe not 22, 32. I'll go with 32. It's crazy. But he's 22, which has got us singing that Taylor Swift song all day long. We have plans tonight. We're going to Texas Roadhouse, which is a challenge for me. I love Texas Roadhouse. The reason I say it's a challenge because they bring out these rolls with the best cinnamon butter that I've ever had. So I'm going to go totally off the rails, I'm sure. We got him some awesome cologne because he loves good smells and some sweaters because we're heading into winter. And yeah, I'm excited for dinner. Not everybody's going to be able to make it because Becca has a dance concert, but we're going to go celebrate. And like I said, because we live in this really small cabin in the woods, it's just 830 square feet. I should talk about my minimalist lifestyle that we've been on since 21. But anyway, because of that, and now our family's growing a little bit, we don't really have space for everybody to gather for a long period of time, especially when it's cold outside and my oldest is married. So this year, we're doing a Christmas cruise and we leave on the 18th, like I said before, come back on the 28th. I'm so excited. And I'm sharing this because seasons like this is where we tend to have these cracks of weakness surface more easily. And not necessarily weakness in physical sense, but a lot of emotional weakness we might find creeping up at this time of year. I think it's because time is passing, another year is about over. We're trying to make the holidays so precious and memorable and perfect. We want to hold on to these moments that we can't always hold on to. I certainly feel that. I want to maximize every moment with my kids. Maybe you're feeling a little tired too. You've been wrapping gifts late into the night. If you have little kids, that elf on the shelf, if you're doing that. I know my friend Elizabeth was telling me how it takes her hours every night to get that all set up. So we're feeling tired. We're feeling tired because we want to show up so well for the people we love, but then we find ourselves maybe not showing up the way we want to. We're trying to stay present while also being a little overwhelmed by everything we have going on. If you're parenting teenagers, little kids, a child with big emotions, or you're parenting with a nervous system that already feels super stretched, you know what I'm talking about. And weakness can show up regularly all throughout the year, but especially when we have a lot going on. And I would say the question that I love to ask myself more than anything else is not, is it going to show up? What am I going to do when it shows up, when I feel weak, when I feel like I don't show up the way I want to? Now, one of the most common ways parents deal with weakness is by projecting it. And I would say this is how humans deal with when they feel weak, is we project it onto other people. When we feel overwhelmed or unsure internally and we don't recognize it for what it is, we might start looking for the answer or the reason to this problem to be outside of ourselves. And as a parent, an easy place to look is our kids. If we feel out of control internally, we might start labeling our kids as out of control. If we feel overwhelmed, my kid might all of a sudden be too much. If we feel emotionally scattered, now my child's being really dramatic and I can't handle it. If we're feeling powerless, maybe our child's defiant in our mind. And in these moments, we can accidentally or unconsciously make our child become the focus of the problem. But underneath what's usually happening is actually much simpler. It looks like, I don't know how to handle what I'm feeling. I don't know how to handle what they're feeling. I'm not sure what to do next. I'm afraid I'm going to get this wrong. That's weakness showing up. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. Not at all. It doesn't mean you're a bad human. I used to think that. I'm not a good person. It just means you're human. You're human. And the problem is that projection turns internal struggles into blame, and blame shuts down connection and shuts down our prefrontal cortex and all of our logical thinking. So we want to be on to ourselves. I'd say another common response to feeling weak, to feeling unable to respond the way we want to in a certain situation is resistance. We try to push weakness away by criticizing ourselves. So sometimes we'll tell ourselves, we should be calmer, more patient, more regulated by now. We should be able to handle this situation. We should be better. We use shame as motivation. But self-attack does not create strength. What it does is activate fear, and fear tightens the nervous system. It makes you more reactive, less flexible, and less able to access the skills you actually have. So when you beat yourself up for struggling, you know what happens? You end up reinforcing the very patterns you want to change. We become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've seen this in myself. I've seen this in parents I work with. It's there. It's often our reality until we become aware of it and we look at ourselves and we confront ourselves with so much love and compassion and say, okay, this is what's going on. I'm feeling kind of weak. I'm feeling not very capable right now. Another thing we might do, and I've done this too, is to respond and try to overcome our weakness with willpower. We decide weakness isn't acceptable and we try to force ourselves to change. This sounds like, that's it. I'm fixing this. I'm fixing myself. We're not doing this anymore. That impulse usually comes from care and commitment. Totally, 100% comes from that place for most of us. It comes from wanting to do better. But when change is driven by force instead of understanding, compassion just drops off the map. And when compassion drops off, the relationship with ourselves, with our kids, with our spouse, with our family gets strained. And one of my mantras with Connect Method Parenting, or you could say Connect Method Living, is we don't trade connection for control. We don't trade it. And the last thing that I want to point out, the last thing that sometimes we do when we start to feel weak, and I've already named a few, we might project it onto our kids, ourselves, our family members, resist it through self-attack, try to overpower it with willpower. And the fourth thing that commonly happens, we try to hide it and call it fine. Everything's fine. So there's this hiding, there's the hiding our struggles from even ourselves, from our friends, from our partners, from our kids. Everything's fine. But hiding fuels shame. Shame grows when experiences stay unspoken. It really does. It likes to grow in the dark, hidden corners and convince you that being seen would be dangerous, so we can't tell anybody. We can't tell anybody about what we're feeling. We can't talk about how we just messed up. We can't learn from it. We just push it down. But weaknesses that we have as humans are not the thing that causes us the problems. It's the shame that follows it and our ability to repair and recover. So here's a definition I want you to try on for weakness. Weakness simply means your capacity is lower than what the moment requires. That's it. Your capacity is lower than what this particular moment requires. And maybe if this same situation had happened yesterday, you would have had more capacity because of all of the things that were happening in your life. Maybe you would have been more capable yesterday, but today you're not. So it just simply means that today, I'm feeling a little bit weaker in my capacity to stay calm, weaker in my capacity to have compassion. But it just means your capacity is lower in this moment than what the moment is asking for. That's it. It's not about your character or morality. It's about capacity. And sometimes your child needs more regulation than you have access to in that moment. Sometimes your life load exceeds what your nervous system can handle. Sometimes your expectations of yourself are higher than what's humanly sustainable or possible or even realistic. And when that happens, shame only adds pressure. What would actually help is support, skill building, regulation, recovery, honesty, because truth stabilizes the nervous system. Truth sounds like, yeah, this is so hard. This is so hard that I can't handle it right now. I need a minute. I need help. That kind of honesty is going to lead you to more awareness. It's going to allow you to have more capacity in the future. So what do we do with weakness instead? This is something I've been practicing for years and years and years. I used to do all the things I just laid out. That's why I know them so well. I used to project it on myself and my kids. I used to resist it through self-attack. I used to try to overpower it with willpower. I used to hide and try to convince myself that everything was fine. But once I realized that weakness simply means your capacity is lower than what the moment requires, I was able to see it with kindness and compassion and learn from it and stop running from it. So this is what I do now when I realize that my capacity is lower than what this particular moment requires. One, I try to stop running from it. Embracing weakness, it doesn't mean that I love it, that I want it to keep happening. It just means that I acknowledge that this is what's happening and it's okay and there's a reason for it, and I don't attack myself and I don't collapse in shame. I don't give up. I just get accurate and I mine for gold. The next thing, once I stop running from it, is I'm going to replace criticism with curiosity, because curiosity is one of the most powerful tools you can have as a parent. So asking yourself good, productive questions like, what does this feel like in my body? When does it show up the most? What does it make me want to do? What am I afraid will happen if I don't get this thing right? Looking at what is actually happening provides me so much valuable feedback. It's not issuing any kind of verdict or meaning. It's giving me options and clarity to what's really going on so I can find the root of it. The next thing I try to do is lead with compassion. If anything is going to change, compassion has to come first. I have found that after I've tried every other option, I finally submitted. I finally relented in my own stubbornness and realized it's okay for me to be kind to myself. This was really hard for me. Wow, this was so hard. I remember the first time someone challenged me on this, and I honestly said, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't think I am allowed to do that. And then she said, well, you can only be as kind and compassionate to other people as you are to yourself. And that was really compelling because I wanted to be a better mother and I wanted to be a better wife. And I was being a very critical, very unkind mother and wife in my point of view. I wanted to do better. So I decided to be kind to myself. And I have learned that I have to lead with compassion with myself. And that when I lead with compassion, when I've behaved badly, when I've messed up, I learn very quickly and I can turn things around and repair. But when I beat the crap out of myself, I'm stuck in shame and blame. And this is not me not taking ownership for the thing. I actually take better ownership when I'm compassionate with myself. I self-confront and I own my stuff, but not from a place of something's wrong with me, but from a place of I'm a human and I'm struggling and I'm trying to learn from this so I do better next time. So compassion creates safety, and safety is what allows growth. Now, if we think about this from a nervous system perspective, the reason compassion might create safety, one of many reasons, is that when we feel safe, we can be in the parasympathetic nervous system state, meaning we can be relaxed, we can have homeostasis, our prefrontal cortex can be online because we're not in survival mode, we're not in fight or flight mode. And because of that, we can learn and grow, we can assess, we can evaluate, we can self-confront. The other thing that I love about leading with self-compassion is that our kids learn to do it too. When we set that example, they experience it through us doing it for ourselves, for us doing it for them, and they begin to do it for themselves and do it for other people around them. My fourth step in this journey of how to maneuver weakness in a better way is to decide what actually needs support. So sometimes the work is learning a new skill. Sometimes it's making a new association, creating a new meaning. Not everything needs to be fixed. Sometimes it's just an awareness. Like what needs to be supported is I need more sleep. I need to let go of this perfectionistic part of me that thinks the dishes have to be done at a certain point or the kids' rooms have to always look perfect. There's so many things that I might need support with. I might just need a break from everyone, which I can discover when I lead with compassion. When I replace criticism with curiosity, when I stop running from it and look at it, I can see what actually needs support and realize I'm exhausted. Or I might need better boundaries or better limits. I might need to ask for help. I might need to simplify routines. I might need to delegate tasks or reduce commitments or plan ahead for known triggers. And I can see that when I'm in this place. Step 5 for me is to let go of performance. Let go of results. Let go of what other people think. Sometimes when I am able to see weakness as simply my capacity is not at the place that this moment is needing. This moment needs maybe more capacity, more patience, more understanding, more compassion than I'm able to muster up in this moment. It can give me permission to let go and say, yeah, this is where I am. Permission to stop pretending I'm anywhere else than I am. And that relief makes such a big difference when I can be honest that this is where I am and I can't change it right now. But how do I show up the best I possibly can in this moment as I am right now? Our kids, thank goodness, they don't need us to be strong all of the time. But my goal is to be safe for them as much as humanly possible. If our goal is to try to be safe for them so they can feel safe in our presence, even if the safety is me saying, hey, I am not in a good place right now. Let's get you set up with a snack. Or if it's a teenager, hey, I need a break. I'm going to go on a drive or go on a walk so I can come back and be better. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Safety is created through repair sometimes. Safety is created through honest communication, through owning our stuff. When we yell or we shut down or we snap, when we miss the mark, what matters most is what happens next. What do you do next? So when you finally come to your senses and you have an awareness of, oh, maybe I'm having a nervous system takeover. Maybe I'm exhausted. Maybe I'm emotionally not able to handle these big emotions right now. Being honest with that. And then when you're ready, if you need it, if you have snapped, if you have yelled, if you've missed the mark, acknowledging the impact, taking ownership for it, reconnecting with your kids. Repair builds resilience. And when we go into a shame cycle, it's going to create distance with ourselves and with our kids and with our spouse and with whoever we're with our neighbor, with our mother. So here's your invitation this week, you all. And I know it's a busy week. It's holiday week, whether you're celebrating Christmas or something else. The kids are home. You're trying to make memories, enjoying the last few weeks of the year. So here's your invitation. I want you to notice when you feel stretched. And instead of interpreting that as a failure, I want you to get so curious about what support or adjustment you need to make. Do I need support? Do I need to support myself? Do I need to take care of myself so I can be better? Do I need to communicate something so that I can take a break? Do I need to adjust my expectations? Do I need to adjust what I'm contributing in this moment? You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to have limits. You're allowed to also be in the messy human process. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it right all the time to be an effective parent. You just need to keep trying, keep noticing. So do your best this week to be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. Remember the 4 steps. The 4 steps that I said have really turned things around for me. Stop running from the weeks that you might see pop up this next week. Replace the criticism with curiosity. Lead with compassion. Decide what actually needs support or help. How do you need to adjust things? Let go of performance. Let go of perfectionism and outcomes. And be present to this beautiful experience we all get. Amazing is it that we get to have our families around us during this time of year. We get to pause from some of the normal demands of life. And it's all for your benefit. Everything that happens, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and the stuff that you wish didn't happen is all for your learning and growth. So let's use this time of year to up-level our capacity just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I'm so glad you were here with me today. I know you have a lot of options of what you can listen to. So thanks for being with me. I'm going to talk to you next week. I can't wait. Before you go though, I want you to consider this. Where does weakness show up for you right now? Where are you anticipating it's going to show up for you this week? And what do you need? What might you need to change to show up better? Be honest instead of judgmental. All right, you all, have an amazing rest of your day. I love you. Thank you for showing up for yourself and your kids. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, come check out my Connect Method Parenting Coaching Program, where we take this material and we apply it using my proven formula. Head over to cmp.works/join.